Welcome, everyone. I am Dr. Dream, and you are here for a sub-podcast of the It's All Good show. And this is focused on EESystem Center owners. And it's a real treat for me to do these interviews, or I prefer to call them conversations. Um, Many of you know my background with EESystem. I had back-to-back strokes. Dr. Sandra Rose Michael invited me to Las Vegas to experience her 16 unit. And within 2 hours, I went from being barely able to use a walker to being able to walk unassisted. And so it has been a journey for me, and EESystem has played a tremendous role. Now, my guest today, the very first podcast I did featuring EESystem owners, we had 5 owners, and my guest today was one of those owners. And now it has really blossomed into a series of one-on-one conversations with system owners. So I reached out to Sonia and I said, I really want you to have the entire focus. And Stephanie and I have been blessed to have facilitated sound healing experiences several times at Sonia's Center in Phoenix, Arizona, Vitality Energy Healing Center. And she's just an exceptional human being. And what she brings to her community as the owner and the steward of her EESystem Center is fabulous. And I'm just going to go ahead and say, Sonia, welcome to the It's All Good show. It's great to have you back.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dream. It's such an honor. I am just so excited about this. And I'm so honored to just be able to have spent so much time with you and Stephanie. So thank you for all you do as well.
We've been to 38 or more centers all over the country. And I'd have to say we love them all. But they all have a different energetic about them. I mean, they're all EESystem centers, and they range in size and everything like that. But I've always said the thing that sets them apart is the energy of the person or the people that are holding the space and holding the energy. And I'll say it over and over again, what you're doing in Phoenix, Arizona, and how you hold space for your community and your incredibly caring heart shines through in everything that you do. And we felt it every time we've been there. And we're not touring right now, one of the things I miss is that we're not, back there in Phoenix doing events with you, because we have such a deep respect and honor for what you do and how you do it. But before we get into all of that, give us a little bit of background. How did you find out about EESystem, Energy Enhancement System, and what was the motivation to open up a center?
Wow. Well, that's a story in itself. Definitely wasn't something that I've been doing all of my life. However, I have been holistic in my own healing for a very, very long time. So I guess I'm not too surprised I ended up here. But before then, I was really in the corporate world. I was in the financial industry. So it was just this entire event that happened. I was literally divinely led to open my center. And it didn't start out great. I mean, the story, I still can't believe that this is what occurred, but it all started in 2020. And unfortunately, I married. My husband is, I have a husband and 3 daughters. Well, in 2020, my husband, he came down with a UTI, and he was 51 years old. And during that time, we had just dropped off two of our daughters in college, and I had my youngest daughter was a junior in high school. So yes, when my husband wasn't feeling well, pretty much thought it was a UTI, we went to go see our naturopath physician, and after he examined him, he said, let's get you into the hospital, but I just want to make sure you don't go sepsis. And so we were like, okay, that's fine, not a big deal. But we did decide to go to a smaller hospital just because it was at the peak of COVID. And um, we did not take, the COVID, I'm not really sure what we can say here, but we knew there were certain things happening. So we said, sure, we'll do that, and he'll be in touch with the attending physician. Well, unfortunately, we didn't realize that we were going to lose control of him. When we got to the hospital, I was not able to stay with him. I wasn't even able to stay in the hospital at all. Like, I had to leave the premises. So I let them know that they needed to speak to our family physician. And so I left thinking that it's not going to be a big deal. We'll be picking him up in just a bit. And so when it was about 4 hours later, and I'm still not getting any calls, I've been calling and calling, no one's responding. And finally, my husband starts texting, and he starts texting me pictures, and it's of him attached to all these machines. And I'm like, wait a minute, what is going on? And so, of course, I called him because I realized he was on his phone. And he just told me he was having a hard time breathing and that they were trying to save his life. And, I was just shocked. I'm like, what are you talking about? What's going on? So, of course, this is my husband. So I was a little, really kind of stressed out about everything happening. I called up our doctor and I let him know, and he said, I've been trying to reach them as well. No one's getting back to me. Make sure that when you speak to the doctor, she calls me. I'm giving you my personal phone number to call me, so you can call me on my cell, or she, I should say. So again, I didn't actually speak to the attending physician until 6 o'clock that evening. And we had taken him in like at 10 o'clock in the morning. And I asked her, I said, what is going on? And she says, well, we're running a lot of tests. We're not really sure what's happening, but we are going to put him in ICU just so we can have a better one-on-one look at him and watch over. And I'm like, well, I really need you to talk to our family physician because he can fill you in on any questions you might have. And she said, it's okay. Let us see how he does through the night, and then and then we'll go from there. So she just really did not want to speak to him. Long story short, just to make this story a little shorter, I get a call about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, the following morning, and asking me to come down there because he was in grave condition. And I was just beside myself. So I went down there, and once I got there, I walked in and he had been placed on a ventilator. And I had asked the nurse, why is he on a ventilator? And her response was that he was uncomfortable. And I didn't understand that, because I'm thinking to myself, you don't put people on ventilators because they're uncomfortable. And unfortunately, there were a lot of things we were hearing that were going on at that time. There was so much happening in that whole COVID world with the hospitals. And so I just could not believe it. So, the doctor finally came in, and she wanted to run all these tests. And, there was this back and forth about what we should do, shouldn't do. And she basically told me, if I don't let her do her job, my husband's going to die. I finally got a hold of my doctor, or she finally spoke with him. And after she spoke with him, she said she wasn't going to follow his protocols whatsoever. So it was really tragic. We lost my husband like within a few hours after that. And he was literally only 51 years old and had nothing else going on. So I know that sounds really hard, but that is how this entire story of mine started as to why I'm doing what I'm doing today. And it was because, all of a sudden, being in that space, I was in just such a dark place. And I was just, I was very, I believed in God, and I was praying and asking for, just help me understand, you know, I know it's his will, but why, help me understand, help me get through this. And so things just started happening. I suddenly started getting messages. I started seeing 1111s everywhere, and I've always believed in God, but I grew up very Catholic. So, I never really paid attention to these numbers. And so, my sister, who is somewhat intuitive, we all kind of have been a bit through our dreams. She said, Sonia, Todd came to me in a dream. Todd is my husband, and he wants me to let you know that he's with you. He's never left your side. He goes, but he did tell me that you need to do your research because you're going to have to make a big decision. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, well, yeah, I have to make a lot of decisions. It's just me now. And that's what she told him. She's like, Todd, Sonia's having to make a lot of decisions. Can you be more specific? And she said that he just said, just tell her to do her research. And, I was thinking, mortgage, life insurance. I was thinking all of those types of things. So suddenly I start getting these 1111 numbers everywhere. I mean, I would go to the store, it would be on billboards. I would go look at my phone, it was on my phone. I would go to the gas station and my pump stopped on 1111. And then finally I'm like, what? Why am I seeing this? So of course, I start researching 1111. I find out their angel numbers. I find out that it's, you know, God, universe, spirit, however you relate to that, trying to reach us, my husband trying to reach me. And so that just kind of started everything. After that I started going down all these different rabbit holes, finding out about so many different things. I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is just incredible, what is happening and what's going on. And so I was just really awakening to this world that I didn't realize was happening. But how that led to me opening the center is that during my time of going through all those investigations and searching, I got to a point at one time where I had to I'd come across a I came across a video. It was a podcast because there are so many podcasters. And I came across one that was talking about different companies that don't necessarily align with what I was aligned with. And so my company happened to be on that list, and I was just so surprised. So I just remember that night just praying to God, asking him to, help me find another way. I really couldn't quit my job. I didn't want to quit, I'm a single mom. How am I going to do this? So I was just asking for guidance. I was praying for guidance. 5 days later, I was laid off from my job, just out of the blue. And so I knew then that was God telling me that um, I couldn't do it, so he did it for me. He kind of helped me out. So I was grateful because I knew this was the move I needed to make, but I don't honestly think I could have done it on my own, knowing that I had all this responsibility. So that, I didn't tell anybody what happened. That night I had to take my daughter to practice for cheer. And so I drive her to her practice. Before I leave though, I grabbed my husband's wedding band because I just felt like I needed a little bit extra comfort. And so I grabbed his wedding band and I put it on, and I'm at the gym, and we're just, I'm just kind of in my own world. I get home, I'm getting ready for bed. I look down and I realize that his ring is missing. So now I'm just hysterical. I am more upset about losing his ring than losing my job that day. And so I called my friend. She said, Sonia, don't worry. The gym, we'll find it. I'll give them a call. So that next morning I woke up, I get a call from the gym. They let me know that they've been searching and looking, they've been going through all the trash, and that when they said that, I remembered I had gone to the ladies' room. She says, Sonia, she goes, I have to tell you this. She goes, I've been going through all the trash and it's been moved everywhere. And I get to this final bag and I unknot it. And as soon as I open it, this dry paper towel opens up and your husband's ring was right in the center. So when she told me that, my whole body just lit up. And I just knew at that time that God was telling me everything's going to be okay. And I just knew in my heart that that's what he was telling me. So I get in my car and I drive to go pick it up. And on my way to picking it up, I, at this point, am only listening to different podcasts. I no longer listen to mainstream media. I'm kind of away from all of that. And I come across this interview where Dr. Sandra's being interviewed, and they are talking about the EE system. And she's talking about all these miracles and this technology that's just amazing with scalar waves. And I'm listening as I'm driving to go pick up my husband's ring. I'm thinking, wow, this is incredible. Like I just can't wait to try it. So I'm really excited to find out, where they're located so I can go try it. But at the end of that interview, she says, now's the time to heal the world. If anyone can open a center, and as soon as those words came out, my body just lit up completely, like in goosebumps everywhere. And I pulled over and I wrote down all that information. And without hesitation, I knew that this was what I was supposed to do. I just 100% just knew it. Wrote everything down, sent my information in, and thank God that I did because they didn't get back to me for a few weeks and I was a little worried, but apparently they had over 70,000 people that had responded to that call. And so luckily I was able to secure my spot, I guess I should say. And it was really funny because I didn't tell anyone in my family. I was just trying to figure this out. My girls did know, and they were just like, Mom, are you sure? And I'm like, I am telling you right now, I know that I'm supposed to do this. I can't explain it. I go, but I just know that I need to do this. And so it continued. I continued getting messages from my husband. I continued getting confirmations on everything I was doing all the way up until opening my location. I was about 2 months out from being installed, and I could not find a location. And I asked the owner, I said, is it okay if I bring my brother to take a look? Because I have to do so many renovations. I have to, take out the carpet, take down walls, put up walls. And he's like, of course. He goes, let me give you the code to the door. And when he gave me the code to the door, it was my husband's birth year. And so I knew then that I looked at my brother and I said, okay, this is a space. We just need to figure out what we need to do. So I was completely being divinely led step by step by like it just happened like that. Like I still to this day, I can't believe it. And when I lost my husband, I was in such a dark place because he was my best friend. I mean, it's us and our three daughters. We did everything together. And so I really couldn't even talk to anybody. But because of how this all came about, and because he even gave me, I even started receiving messages from him, letting me know that this is what I was always intended to do. And so when we were putting, together our center, Jordan, she even took a video of the room and she said, Mom, she goes, look at the video. And I said, why, sweetie? She said, there's an orb in it. And I go, that's your dad. She goes, I know. And so to this day, that video is still on my website. So I now am just so blessed to have had this opportunity. And I thank God every day that I listened to him, that I listened to my husband, that I listened to God, that I listened to all the messages I was being given because I didn't know what direction my life was going to take, but I just knew that I had my three girls I had to take care of. And now I'm blessed to have this healing technology where I'm just seeing people healing every day. It is just so incredible. And so I'm just so blessed.
Your story touches me every time that I hear it. It is heartbreaking, and then just you following all the signs and messages, and then me having gotten to know you so well, and to be in your center, and the energetic field of walking into your center. um it just all makes sense. It's like all the pieces just come together. And thank goodness that you paid attention and followed through with everything. And I love the fact that you weren't going to leave that job, and God source the universe said, yeah, I'm going to make it easy for you to make a decision. I love how that
Right.
happens. Now, tell us a little bit about your center. One of the things that that I love about it is it's a large space. And so everything's really spread out. You've got what a lot of places have, air quote beds, but they're not really beds. But you really went the distance with how you've got it all set up. Share with us a little bit about how it is.
Yeah, I knew that this was going to be our space, and my daughters were working with me on it. So when we created this space, I created it how I would want it for myself. I wanted to create a space where everyone would feel extremely comfortable. I come from a large family where everything is about family and everyone feeling comfortable. And so when we were looking, we had gone to a couple or one EE center, because everyone has their own twist how they're going to equip it. And so we kind of knew what we wanted. So I I knew that we wanted really big, comfy electric reclining chairs, and I knew that I wanted beds that would be really comfortable. So what we did is we tested so many, and after testing so many, I would have several people come over and try them. I'd be like, I want you guys to lay on it. I want you to try. So we really went overboard on the comfort side of things, only because I really wanted to, if this is going to be a healing space, I wanted people to come in here and be able to be so comfortable that they could just completely fall asleep in that energy. And so we have 10 reclining chairs and 6 memory foam beds. And I love it. I mean, for just your regular everyday sessions, we always have blankets available, but a lot of my clients bring their own blankets and our pillows. And then for my overnights, we put sheets on everything because it just makes it that a little bit more comfortable. But yes, my space, when you walk in, it's like a rectangle. And I always have, salt lamps in there. I keep it dark. I keep it 72. My air is purified. I have frequency music playing, essential oils, diffusing, just, trickling water features, just everything to just make it so incredibly comfortable where you can just go in and just really just, go in with an open heart and just imagine your most abundant life and use that time for you. Let's get rid of the outside world. Go in and really go inside and just heal. And so I ask everyone, to turn off the technology. We want to disconnect from that world. This is our time to heal. So I really, really am big on making it such a sacred place for people to do what they need to do, and I have so many people that'll come in and just from the energy alone, they'll just be overwhelmed sometimes, maybe you start releasing right away and may possibly traumas. I mean, I've just experienced so much. So yeah, it's really incredible. So that's the actual EES room. But then I also have a space out front where people can sit and have, a hot tea, or they can enjoy a snack, or they can just talk because I wanted to create a healing space, but I also wanted to create a community for people to come and heal and talk and feel like they have a second home.
The whole thing is truly feels heavenly. I've watched how you are with your members, and you're very tapped into their needs. You know who prefers what placement, and do they like a bed, and if they do, which one, and what's their favorite chair, and you're really very focused on that. And I think it makes a huge difference in the experience. Now, when did your center open?
So we opened, I was installed in December of 22, but I didn't really officially open. I did like a soft opening, but I didn't really open until January of 23. So I've been open almost 2.5 years.
And I bet you have seen a lot of miracles happen in that time. First off, nobody has spent more time in your center than you and your daughters. And so, are there any stories you want to share about your own experiences or what you've noticed, just in for yourself, having spent all that time there at your center?
Yeah, it's really incredible. So Jordan's my oldest daughter. She's 25, and she's actually in her second year of Chinese medicine right now. So I'm really excited. So everything just really goes hand in hand for us. But the first thing we noticed is the fact that our hair was growing so fast, and especially her because she gets highlights, her roots would be grown out after like a few weeks every time. I'm like, oh my gosh. So we started noticing the hair, the nails, all of that first. And then I realized that I used to have this floater in my eye for a long time. And all of a sudden I realized it was no longer there. It was just gone. Um, I noticed that my skin was aging backwards. I was like, okay, is it just me or am I starting, to look a little younger? And so then I had a client that came in and he said, Sonia, look at my hands. He goes, I took pictures of them before. I guess she was very aware of her skin and her hands. And she showed me before and afters after being in my center. So then I discovered that there is a study out there on telomeres and how there is a true study that it is shortening the telomeres, and this actually is happening. I used to get fever blisters all of the time, and I no longer get them anymore because I have this extreme calmness that has come over me. My daughters would come after school sometimes, my youngest, and she would just take a nap. And what it would do for like her clarity and stress, there's so much stress for children, I feel like in today's world, they just deal with so many things. It would really calm her. But one of the things that I recently found out, which I was not aware of, is that, I've been healing and working on my hip. So as a mom and as most moms, I think we do so much for everyone that we never take care of ourselves. And I am 100% guilty of that. And I know that. And I'm trying really hard to change that. But I'd been having these issues. And so I just kind of was not really paying attention to it, not taking care of it. My naturopath physician thought it was my knee. Then I was going to my chiropractor and she was giving me adjustments, which really helped a lot. Um, but I was still recognizing that, okay, you know, I'm still having, the issues with my hip. So I finally went in to go see an acupuncturist that was recommended to me by one of my clients. I have the most incredible clients. And so I went to go see him. And the funny thing about it is, turns out he is one of my daughter's professors at her school. So small world. I know. It was really incredible. But when I went to go see him, he said he was feeling and he said, Sonia, he goes, this is interesting. Well, actually, let me back up a little bit. Jordan, my daughter, was doing cupping on me, and she had recognized that when she was doing the cupping on me, that she wasn't seeing blood. When you do cupping, you have the blood that comes up to the surface. Well, on my hip area, it was completely white. And she's like, Mom, this isn't normal. Like, what's going on here? And so that's what prompted us then to go see an acupuncturist. And so I had mentioned this to him. So he kind of started feeling, when Chinese medicine, they really start feeling every around and can tell. And he's very intuitive as well. So he said, Sonia, this is amazing. He goes, your all of your organs are like, in great like condition, like you were super strong, you were really healthy. He goes, the only thing I see is this chi, and it's in the center, where your hip area is. He says it's like the blood has been blocked, so you have blockages there. He goes, but anyone that has these types of conditions would be showing other issues, with their other organs. He goes, and I can't explain it because you're completely strong. Like everything else is good. We just need to open up these channels. And when he said that, I said, I know why. I go, I have been in this amazing technology, the EE system, and all of a sudden it dawned on me that the EE system wasn't just for me to bring it to the world, but it was for me to heal myself. I had no idea. And so that is the thing that I had just recently understood. I didn't understand and didn't know until he examined me, and he was just amazed. He could not believe it. And since then, yes, I've been working and we've been opening the channels to try and get the blood flow going back through. And so things are starting to get better. But I can't believe that I didn't even notice that until about a month ago.
I love that. It's like the shoemaker with holes in his shoes, and it's just like, oh, wait a sec, I could do something about that. Now, 2.5 years. You've got, and so many people have come through there. Every time I've done, Stephanie and I have done an event there, it's completely sold out, with people on a waiting list and everything. So you've had a lot of clients there. Give us some testimonials, because I'm the proof is in the pudding guy, and the pudding is the testimonials.
100%. Well, my first testimonial, which I know a lot of people are aware of, but the biggest one and the closest one to my heart is my sister. And I'm not really sure, what we can or can't say on here. Do
You
we
can
need to be
say anything
careful?
you want.
Okay. Okay. So my sister, she was my first miracle. And literally, I mean, I had her coming in the last week of December when it wasn't open to anyone. It was just my family. She had been going through ovarian cancer and had, gone down the Western medicine route. I tend to be the most holistic in my family of all of my siblings. So yeah, so she had done that, and had been going through treatment. And as with all those treatments with chemo and whatnot, you lose your hair, all of that stuff. And she became cancer free. Well, a few months later, her cancer returned aggressively. And so at that time, that is when my system was on order. And so I asked her, I said, look, I asked her to please consider doing this. I was going to send her some information, some videos so she can listen to the technology. And I said, please consider doing this because I'm hearing and I'm seeing all these testimonials of so many people healing from so many ailments. And so she went ahead and did that, and she's pretty open. And so she said, okay, she goes, yes, I'll try this. She goes, however, I met with my doctors and they also want me to start and do another 6 rounds of chemo. She goes, so I'm going to do both. And I said, okay, great. I would prefer she didn't do the latter, but I'd rather her come in however I can get her to come in. So after her first round of chemo, once she recovered from that, she came into my center and she did 2 hours in the system. And so after she came out, I looked at her. I'm like, okay, so how was it? And I'll never forget this. She looks at me and she goes, I feel joyful. And it really touched my heart because we've just gone through so much, with just the loss of my husband and now my sister with cancer. And it just felt so good. So I said, okay. I said, well, I need you to do something. There's an important step. So you've just done the first step. The second step is a detox protocol. This is super important because your body right now is discharging of all of those toxins that it doesn't want. Because remember, your body's wanting to heal itself. So when you go home, I need you to take this bath. So I pre-make a lot of my baths, but I have the recipe on my website as well. And I said, I need you to soak in this bath, which is basically sea salt, baking soda, and borax. And then you can add EE charged salt as well if you want. So I go, I need you to soak for 30 minutes in hot water. I said, as hot as you can tolerate it. I go, and don't be alarmed if it turns a murky gray color because it's literally going to pull those toxins out. And so she said, okay, I can do that. She goes, Sonia, I want you to know I'm going to be getting my antigen levels tested. So that was a marker. That was a way they tested her cancer levels. She goes, because I want to know if this is really doing anything. And I said, okay, of course. I go, I want to, let me know too. I want to know your results. So she said, okay. So when she came to me, her antigen levels were 182. She had to be at 38 and below to be considered cancer free. So she went home, she does her detox bath. At the end of the week, she calls me and she says, I have my results back. And I said, so she goes, my levels went from 182 to 64. Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh. And so she's my first like real person. I'm like, that is incredible. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, you have to come back. And she's like, oh yeah. So I'm thinking she's just going to come back and forego, the chemo. But unfortunately, she did another round of chemo. Again, I feel like a lot of these patients are so much in fear. They have so much fear that they're just following their protocols. So she goes and does another round. This time it takes her about 3 weeks to get back to me because she couldn't recover. She calls me and she's in tears. She's telling me she's in so much pain. She feels like the cancer's spreading all over her body. She can't even lay down and she's just so upset. And I'm just like, Lorinda, you need to come in today and we need to do an overnight. Let's do it together. I'll do it with you. We'll sleep in the system tonight. And the first question she says, she's like, is it going to make it worse? And I said, no, it's only good energy. But they're so scared, and I understand. So I'm just trying, to be there for her. And so she says, well, let me talk to Tom, her husband. So they at the last minute she decided to come in. So she came in and I could definitely see the pain in her face when she walked in. She had her wig on, because she still doesn't have her hair. So she comes in, we go set up, we go to bed. It was her and my oldest daughter, and we all did an overnight. The next morning we get up and I make us some hot tea and we just sit out here and we start talking and she becomes very emotional. And I said, what's wrong? And she said, Sonia, she goes, the pain, it's all gone. And I'm like, so of course we're both like so emotional. And I'm like, oh my gosh. She goes, I'm getting tested again this week. Can I come back on Monday and do another 2 hours? I'm like, oh my gosh, of course. So she goes home, does her detox protocol. She's really good about that. She comes back on Monday like a totally different person. I mean, the joy and look on her face was just like, oh my gosh. She comes in, she does her 2 hours, goes home, does her protocol again. She's like, okay, I'll let you know how I'm doing. So at this time, she has spent 16 hours in my center. And she gives me a call to inform me that she is now cancer free. I, my daughter and I were both like in tears because we're just like, oh my gosh, she is my first miracle. And so after that, you can't deny when you see these results. And I'm reading about them. I read a ton of testimonials, but when it happens to your own family member, it is just amazing. So, she was my first, but since then, at the time when I opened, there were very few centers around the country, very few. So I had clients coming to me. Oh, one more thing about Lorinda. She continued coming in even after that. Her hair grew back so fast. We could not believe how quickly her hair grew back, her skin, everything. She looked like $1 million. I mean, it was incredible. So she continued coming, and to this day, she still comes in. She still comes in and she'll do overnights every now and then. And she's just continuing to thrive and she's doing well. So I am so, so incredibly grateful. That was my first gift from this entire, system. And so I'm just so grateful. But like I said, she was my first, because I was one of the first centers opening up when all of this happened. I had clients coming to me from Canada, from Kansas, from Colorado. They were coming from all over the world. One of them he was a client of mine who had Lyme disease. Never knew how debilitating Lyme disease was. He literally had had it since he was young, I think high school, if I recall correctly. And he had tried everything. He had tried everything medical. He had tried everything holistic. This was kind of like his last hope for him. When he came in, I just remember his skin was so wide, it was almost translucent. And so we spoke on the phone from Kansas for a long time. It was his friend who lived here in Arizona who was actually a naturopathic doctor. And so he had recommended he come here. So we met, and I asked him, I'm like, how long are you planning on staying? And he just said, as long as it takes. So he started coming in and he was coming in very frequently. I had met his mom and his friend, and he was coming in, and it was incredible to see how he's recovered. He has gotten his life back. He is able to get his sleeping. His joints were better. He's now going out. He's hiking. He's literally doing so much more. And to see him through this process was just, again, just for me, I am just so honored that I get to participate in all these people's journeys. I had a couple from Canada that came to me, and her husband had had, I believe, a stroke, and he had neuropathy, and he had no feeling in his left leg. So they came here, and they were coming for, very regularly. And she was so funny. She was telling me how he could feel, her husband was having feeling in his feet again. He hadn't had any feeling at all. And so they're an older couple and they're sitting here, we're talking. And so everyone that comes in, I feel like they're my family because we just become friends and get to know everything about each other. And so she's like, Sonia, she goes, he even got his libido back. And he's sitting there and we all start laughing, but it was just such a great thing. So they went on to open up their own center in Canada. So I still keep in touch with them and they've opened up their center. Same thing with another one of my clients. He came to me from Colorado. He had a heart condition. His heart was operating at a 20% capacity. Him and his family, his mom and dad came down for 1 week from Colorado. They came in every day for 9 hours, literally every day. After the second day, I asked him, I'm sorry, I'm like, I have to ask you, I go, are you able to sleep at night? Because these are early on, so I'm still learning about the system. And he looked at me, he said, like a baby. And I'm like, okay, so they did 9 hours. So he did about 54 or so hours in here. He went from his heart operating, having a 20% capacity to 80% capacity. His doctors told him they didn't know how he was still alive. He went on to open up his own center in Colorado. So I have had so many of my clients, I've had about one, two, three clients of mine that have opened up their own centers and a few others that have gotten their own cubes in their homes because of this technology. So I have seen, neuropathy, people with neuropathy. I had a woman from Canada who had a frozen shoulder. She couldn't even lift it. And after 2 hours, she literally comes out and she's doing this. And she is just amazed. So this is just continuing. I'm just seeing it over and over again. And again, the other thing is, I have children. So I have children that are autistic that have come through. My nephew, is autistic, and I had my brother bring him in, and he's a high functioning, but the clarity and the focus that he had after being here. I mean, my brother called me up and he said, Sonia, he goes, I just had the most incredible conversation with my son that I've never had in my entire life. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is just such a godsend. I truly believe that God has sent us this technology. I'm so fortunate that I've been able to form a great relationship with Dr. Sandra Rose Michael. And I just thank her every day for this technology that she's given us because I am just seeing miracle after miracle after miracle. I mean, the stories just continue. They don't stop. And it's not even that. I also have pets. I have pets that come in, and
Right.
it's amazing to see how they heal and how they love that energy. I mean, my own pets have issues with seizures. And so I wish they weren't yappers because if they weren't, I'd have them in here with me every day, but they are. So I have to find time to bring them alone when it's just me and my two little dogs. But when they're having their seizures, I make sure we do an overnight. After having them in here for an overnight, they're seizure free for about 2 weeks plus. And they've had them since they were born. It was a condition they were born with. And so I've been able to see them heal. I've had other clients that have brought in their dogs that have been able to heal from whether it was tumors or, different growths that they've had. So, this technology is truly just, I can go on forever about it. And I am just so blessed to have been put in this place. And that is one of the messages that I received from my husband. He came and gave me this message telling me that that he was so sorry that he couldn't be here with me, but that this was my mission to complete and that he is so proud of me. And so I am just so blessed. And the reason why I can talk about my husband today is because I know that him leaving us was bigger than all of us. This was more than we even knew, but I know that he is still with us today. And because of that, I get to experience this and I get to see that every day with so many people. And my hopes is just to be able to let so many more people know that this actually exists and just please come in and just try because all you have to do is come in and take a nap and take a bath. That's it.
I just love this. I love the family testimonials. You know, it's one thing for someone to come into your center and for you to meet them and for them to have an amazing, life-changing experience. But it's a whole nother thing for your sister or your nephew or you know, and your daughters and everyone. And so that's great. Now, you know, one of the things with this technology is people don't, you know, like they hear about it, they don't particularly understand it. You've been in the position, obviously, as an owner for 2.5 years to explain it to a lot of people. And I know you've done um, trade shows out there or, you know, holistic fairs and things like that, where you've talked to a lot of people. How do
Right.
you explain the energy enhancement system?
You know, I spend a lot of time on the phone. When a client calls, this is one of the reasons why I have my cell phone. My business is my cell phone because I don't want to miss a call. Because if anyone's even slightly interested in this, I would need to explain to them what exactly it is. And so I do. I go on and I talk about the scalar wave technology, the biophotonic light, how this technology isn't healing us, it's creating this environment that is helping our bodies to heal. So again, we live in such a toxic environment, and most everyone that comes in can relate to that. They know that. They know that we're everything is toxic from our food to our water to our air, all of it. So when you and more importantly, and this is probably the biggest thing, is I let everyone know we need to understand that we are energy beings. We are energy, light, and frequency. We were always meant to heal this way. So when you put your body into an environment that is going to allow the body to heal, this is what the scalar is going to create. This is what sound, therapies also create all of that, that vibration. That is what the body needs to heal. And guess what? The body is going to determine what needs to be healed first. We don't determine that. Our bodies are so incredibly powerful. So I always talk about those aspects to try and bring it into layman's terms because in terms of the technology and the physics and all of that about it, that that even goes over my head a bit. And if people really want to get there, I can send them to links where Dr. Sandra can talk about it. But I explain to them if they need to be able to go into the space, just like when we get sick. When we get sick, our body makes us tired. The reason our bodies make us tired is because it's telling us stop doing everything else. I need you to rest so that I can heal you. That's what you're doing when you come in here. You need to rest so that the body can do what it needs to do to heal itself. But again, I also tell them, you can come in here and you can help your body heal. Your body's going to try and heal itself, but you also need to be good to your body, drink good water, eat good food. I mean, don't go out and, completely eat every fast food, all these different toxins and, because then what's the point? You're going to just continue, so you want to be able to do those things on your own. But the other thing is I talk a lot about her medallions. So I noticed that you have yours on too. So
Right.
so yes, Dr. Sandra's medallions are incredible. They're hypercharged with the technology. And I'm telling you, when I am at home and if I ever have a headache or if I have pain anywhere, the testimonials with just these are amazing. Like I literally will put it on a head for a headache and it'll just go away. I know people that put it on their eyes to help with their eyesight. Men, I will wear it in their pockets to help with their prostate issues. So I always tell them, when you leave here, when you're here, you're in this space that's going to help your body to heal. But once you leave, you're going back into that toxic world. So having these medallions on is creating this cocoon around you, protecting you from EMFs, ELFs, radiation. And the other thing, which is really great too, and I know this is plastic. I don't normally have plastic because I really try not to do that, but you can charge your water with these. I don't know if you were aware of that, but what you do is you just hold it for about 20 seconds or so underneath your water, drink, whatever you're drinking, and it's affecting the hydrogen atom. So you will feel the difference because that beverage is going to get heavier. And I tell people test it. Get a medallion, test it. You'll see all of this. So there's other ways for us to try and help ourselves when we're not in the energy. We can do things outside of it, and we can protect ourselves with the medallions, with her bracelets that are all hypercharged as well, because when they're sitting on your wrists, they're making your blood stronger. So that's another thing, and I don't know if it'll kind of go into this, but I do a lot of that. I also show some videos. So I really just explain different stories. But when I get around this, I say, if you're not sure, I do have one event that I do once a month. I have this incredible bionutritionalist that comes down once a month, and I sell it out every time. She does a live blood cell analysis where she will prick your blood. She will look at it underneath a microscope. And she's been doing this for 9 years. And she said what she is finding in the blood within the last year to year and a half is unbelievable. She's seen stuff in there that we've never seen. So the great thing about this is when you can go in and look at your blood and you can evaluate it. She can it'll tell you if your organs are inflamed. It'll tell you if there's blood clots up. It'll let you know about plastics, if there's a buildup of it. There's so many things that can be seen in that blood, but she also offers alternatives to help detox. So again, it's about that detox protocol. It's about doing, all these other things to try and help our body heal. So once we do that, we send you into the EE system for 2 hours. When you're done, you come back out and we retest you again. So you get to experience the before and after results of being in the EE system and looking at your blood. And the one thing that is most commonly seen is most people, when they first come in, their blood cells are all clotted together. They're just all stuck together. And after 2 hours of being in the system, they relook at those cells and they are just flowing, free flowing. It is incredible. Some other people see a reduction in inflammation. Like there's different things that people see when they come out. But I always tell a lot of my new clients, yes, I know this is just way out technology. You're really going to sit in a room where all these screens are flashing and it's going to help you. I get it. But if you really want to see something scientific, I would highly recommend that you come to this. I'm already booking out for the next 2 months because she comes in once a month, and we can only do 10 people a day because it's a 3-hour commitment process. And so we're constantly, either the before test happening or the after. And so, but it's really been great to show people those results, because a lot of people want to have those quantitative results as well.
That's excellent. And in addition to that event that you do monthly, you have been really good about doing special events during the
Yeah.
month for your community, keeping them engaged, introducing new things. You were always so supportive when we came to town with our sacred sounds and everything like that. What are some of the other events that you host?
Yeah, I think it's so important just to get people into the energy. So I do host like Friday night movies. We do Friday night movies where I will allow 10 people to come in because I want everyone to have a reclining chair, but every now and then I'll oversell it and people are like, "Well, we'll hang out on the beds." And I'm like, "Okay, if you liked it, it's fine." So, come in, and it's not a lot. It's $45. You get to come in, watch a movie, and my movies are more I don't know, awakening type movies. They could be on healing, they can be on, things happening in our world, but I always tell everyone, regardless of what we're watching, if you resonate with it, great. If you don't, it's just a movie. And more importantly, you're in here to get some incredible healing. So those always generate. What happens is these are kind of community events because then afterwards, everybody wants to talk about and discuss the movie that we just saw. So we usually start around 7. The movie starts at 7, but people start checking in around 6:30. And sometimes I have people here until 10, 11 o'clock because the topic was just so great. But more importantly is that I have this incredible community of like-minded people that are exchanging phone numbers. And, I get nurses, I get different doctors, I get a lot of nurses actually. I get shamans. I get from everywhere, all types of people, but they love it because they can come and sit. So I do that. We also do sound bowl healing events, and I do that every month as well. I know whenever we have special events, we have yours, of course, love that because anything you do in the EE system, especially with sound and light, is just magnified. Like it is just incredible. I mean, your event, I think the first one we had 3 this last year. I was just completely overwhelmed emotionally because it was just so incredible. So I know the feeling in there. I also do meditation events. I just added I try and do special pricing to try and help clients because one thing I recognized is that after being open this long, that it's important for people to come in on a regular basis. And so I want to make it to where they're able to do that. So I come up with different specials. Like right now, I have manifestation Mondays where you can come in for 2 hours and it's $88. Or I also have, even more important is I have my monthly miracle packages. These are like new that I created, and they're all based on angel numbers because my whole story, my everything around this is about angel numbers. But these are monthly packages. And what I did is I created them so that people could commit to healing. I let them know right offhand. Before I wasn't sure because it was so new, but I know now if you're fighting something really major, you need to be in here 100 hours or more. And so one of my biggest packages that's my most popular is my 1111 package. So it's 1,111 for 1 month, unlimited. I'm open 6 days a week, and you get to bring someone with you. It doesn't have to be the same person because I recognize that a lot of people that are healing have someone with them on their healing journey. So I wanted them to be able to be there with them, whether, it's a family member that's bringing them and they both get the healing. So I have had people do 100+ hours on that in a month and have seen incredible results. I mean, just healing from exactly what they came in and needed to get done. I have people that do my 333, which is 12 hours. It's 12 hours in 1 month. So they're doing a maintenance. They come in and maybe do 2 hours, 2 hours, or maybe they do 3 hours once a week. And anything from 555 onward, you can bring someone with you. So I really tried to create different ways to help people, do this. So I do that, and I just recently am adding a wellness Wednesday night, and that's going to be where I'm going to be showing about a 30-minute clip on healing and different healing modalities covering different doctors, and then afterwards we can have discussion because there's so many things from so many doctors. There's Dr. Ed Group, there's Brian Artis, there's all of these different and so many different technologies, and so. And again, another way just to allow people to come during the week to be in the energy because anything I do in there. And so, yes, I have lots of events. I usually have events every Saturday. And recently I've been doing trade shows just to try to get out in the public, and let them know. And I'm really fortunate because one of my clients has an EE cube. So we actually use her EE cube and take it to our events.
Oh, that's fabulous.
Yeah.
Now, as we're nearing the end of this conversation, is there anything that we haven't touched on? Anything you'd like to add? Is there any advice you have for people? Mindset, anything that would assist people to know before coming in or anything like that?
Yeah, I would really just love to reach out to people and just ask them to keep an open mind. Keep an open mind to all of the healing that's available out there. If you have questions, call me. I am so happy. I will spend an hour with you on the phone, explaining to you, letting you know whatever it is that you have. There is no dumb question. This is such new technology, and we're just so blessed to have it. But just keep an open mind. My website is www.vitality.energyhealing.com. On there, I have everything. I have so much. I have all of my events will be on there. I will have different videos, testimonials, so many things. So if you wanted to do kind of your own research, you can also, go there. And also you can go to eesystem.com to look at testimonials there for worldwide for all of the centers. And on there, it lets you actually pick a certain ailment that you want to search for. Um, but really, I just want people just keep an open mind. We've been so conditioned to only look at health in one direction that I've really opened it up to more. And I have to admit, I was really surprised how many people are not aware of the energy enhancement system. It is incredible. This past weekend, I had an event that I went to, and it was incredible. I just kind of assumed because I've known about it for 2.5 years that, people already know about it, but there are so many that don't. So I just ask everyone, share this information with everyone, share it with a loved one, come in and try it. I have clients at my events. I'm like, come in for an hour, just for an hour for free. I just want you to come in and just be in the energy so that you can feel it and then decide for yourself if this is something you want to move forward with.
Sonia, thank you so much. I'm always so aware of the important role you play in your community and how much you care and how it's all on the surface for you and your everything you do for people and it's you are a connector and you build community there. And it's more than just coming in for a healing experience, it's social. It is connecting people together. I've made tremendous friendships with the people that I've met there. It's really special, and it's special because you are incredibly special, divinely guided, and miracles manifest there. I'm honored to be a friend of yours and to have regular contact with you. And yeah, it just means so much for me to know that there's someone like you out there. And Phoenix is so very fortunate to have you right there. And so always just honor and respect and sending you all the love and gratitude for everything you do. And thank you for being a guest on the It's All Good show.
Oh my gosh, I'm so grateful for everything that you've done for us, for the events that you brought to us. And I just realized just one last thing. At my center, I am a 12 unit center. And again, I really don't believe size matters. I believe that the healing and the miracles that I've seen here, they're going to happen in all centers, regardless of size, because I'm in witness to so many miracles. And so I just wanted to make mention of that.
No, that's great. Some of my best experiences have been in 12 unit centers, and it's beyond the number of units. It's the space that you hold and that you create and the purity of who you are as a steward of this energy. And all that plays into it. You have a very powerful center there, and people will be blessed to just walk in your doors. Again, thank you so much. You have a great
Thank
day,
you.
dear.
Thank you so much, too.